Good afternoon. It's Celeste of Astrology by Celeste. Hi, Christopher. I'm so happy to see you. Okay, let me see if I can invite you. Hopefully that worked. Hi, everyone. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Patty. Hi, Carmi. Hi, everyone. I missed a bunch. Hi,
Hi.
Christopher. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I am doing well, although I'm in uncharted territory. I'm starting to predict things. The North Node.
Betsy.
Huh?
Heavens to Betsy, you're predicting things.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a while, but like now they're coming in like clearer. So we'll
Oh,
see.
okay, so when you say they're coming in clearer, what do you mean? Like,
I
does the astrology talk to you? Are you having visions or impulses or?
The astrology is talking to me. Like I feel like I'm filtering through the energy and
Yeah.
picking on topics because last year I wrote an article for OPA about the Aries and ingress. And
Right.
so I was so deep in the astrology. I think now it's like it's coming clearer because
Yeah.
Mercury, Saturn, and the North Node met on my Mercury, Saturn, and the Sun
Okay.
met on my North Node at 9
Oh,
Pisces.
oh wow.
And like that's when, and then that's when they just started coming in, and my progressed ascendant went into Virgo, and so it's like they're becoming more specific. So
Right.
we'll see. We'll
Right.
see. Mike Tyson was my first one that already came true. I just
Well,
said Mike Tyson will be making news, and
okay.
he is fighting. He is fighting somebody this July. Like he and Donald Trump are
In a boxing ring, or is he having a verbal fight with
in a
someone?
boxing ring. It was just
Okay.
announced. He's having a. Well, before I just go on and on, why don't you introduce
Oh,
yourself?
I was much more interested in your
I'm
in
gonna
your
I'm gonna
like.
finish my story now.
Okay, like I found that much more like okay. Hello everyone. I'm Christopher Renstrom. I'm a friend of Celeste's. Oh, you are so sweet. Oh my God, you've actually marked places. Oh my goodness, I feel
Yeah,
legit.
yes, Rise and Shine and Cosmic Calendar, two
There they
amazing books.
are. I'm Christopher Renstrom. I'm a huge fan of Celeste. Okay, so I'm just like so excited to be. I'm so excited to be on your show today. I'm just so absolutely over the moon to be on your show today. And you may know me from my work that I do with Astrology Hub, or you may know me from my IG Lives, or you may possibly know me from my YouTube channel that I just launched.
Oh,
Um,
congratulations!
yeah, just a month ago. Christopher runs from Astrology, which I'm super duper excited about because I can do whatever I want with my format. And
I
it's lots of
love
fun.
that.
It's
Yeah, I
lots of
love
fun.
all you share and the historian part of you that brings in like you just take it all to another different level with all of your knowledge. Is just
Oh,
I love learning from you.
thank you so much. Well, it all had to go somewhere.
Oh, and Christopher, I'm going to be an Astrology Hub guide this year in
Oh,
May
oh,
for
okay. I
Taurus
think
season.
you're on the month before me because I'm June.
Oh,
Inner,
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
inner circle, inner circle, inner circle.
Inner circle. I told Amanda that was like when I decided to become a professional astrologer, I put that on my vision board. I wanted to be an Astrology Hub guide because I love
Isn't it wonderful?
what
Isn't Amanda just absolutely exquisite to work with? She is just so fantastic.
Mhm.
She's fabulous,
She
and
is
I love what she's
amazing.
doing with Astrology Hub. It's so great. It's just uh, I feel like I just began. I think I've been with Astrology Hub for a few years, but it always feels like I just began. It's like a best friend, you know. It's like you
Yes,
pick up in the middle of the conversation, you pick up, right where you left off.
exactly, exactly. Okay, do you want to hear my astrology
I
story
want to
about
hear
what's
your
happening?
astrology prediction story and how
Okay.
you like made the switch to okay.
Yes. So I've been doing it for years, and like when the Queen died, I said to be Queen News, and like yeah, I just like and I hit sometimes, but
So they
so
slipped
what
you
happened?
they slipped you little notes like in a fortune
Yes,
cookie or something like that. They just
yes,
slip
yes,
through.
yes. Like I'll look at the
Uh-huh.
astrology and think about, what I know,
Hmm.
and then like they'll come together.
Hmm.
So on the full moon in Virgo was across my nodes, my south nodes in Virgo
Wow.
and my north nodes in Pisces.
Okay.
And something, it's like it was illuminated to me who I am, what I'm here to do. It's still coming
Yeah.
in. But when the Mercury, Sun, and Saturn met on my north node, like that day, I was like, I think I'm not just an astrologer. I think I'm like a psychic too. But it's like reading the energy through astrology, using
Yeah.
tarot cards,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday, that was last Saturday, Saturn
Hmm.
on my north node was
Hmm.
squaring my Mars exactly. And
Hmm.
like as soon as the transit went off, so what I feel like what happens is when there's an outer planet and it meets an inner planet, like
Right.
we understand the inner planets, we understand Mars,
Right.
we understand
Right. Right.
Venus, yeah,
Right.
but it brings that energy in. Now I have Saturn on my sun, so I understand Saturn,
Okay.
but like these restrictions of Mars and Gemini,
Right.
my thinking, my writing, this sort of stuff. Mars rules my midheaven because I'm an
Okay.
Aries midheaven.
Okay.
And then as soon as Saturn moved, like it's been coming, as soon as Saturn moved off,
Hmm.
Saturn, the boundaries, the restrictions, the maturity needed to,
Right.
to work with what is another good word for Saturn? Making things, the
Right.
reality of it.
Materializing, making it tangible. Right.
Materializing, making it tangible. As
Right.
soon as Saturn moved off, it was like the floodgates opened. And then I just started writing all these predictions.
And then you
So
were
we'll
like
see what
racing to keep up. I
I
bet you were
can't
racing
keep
to keep up with them.
I can't keep up with them,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure. And like, there's some of them are really. It's still coming in fuzzy, but the one thing I wrote was Mike Tyson news, and then I went and looked at his chart, and it's a D rating, but the Jupiter Uranus conjunctions at his midheaven
Right.
and everything that was going on, I think he might be having some money debt problems. But as a result,
It might
he's
be Tyson's gone in and out of a few of those.
uh-huh. He's going to fight some like 20-something-year-old in the ring for
Ooh.
Netflix on July 20th.
Mm-hmm.
The astrology is amazing for him, and I think it's his Mars is at 22
Okay.
Gemini, and
Okay.
Jupiter stationing to go retrograde on his Mars. And like I
Okay.
see him and Donald Trump. I was going to write something about it. We'll see if
You
I do.
should.
They're doing the same thing. They're both trying to get back their former glory
Right.
in their workspace, and they're both having the Jupiter Uranus conjunction on their midheavens.
Right.
So, yeah, and
Wasn't
they're both.
wasn't Donald Trump a producer of Michael Tyson
I
years
don't
ago?
know.
I think he was. I think I don't know if producer is the right word, but if I remember correctly,
Mm-hmm.
I believe Donald Trump was involved in boxing when he was in that sort of
Oh,
Atlantic
Atlantic
City
City.
thing. And I think he actually knew, I think actually they know each other, but they might even have been in business with each other some sort of way in that regard. So it's interesting. Yeah. They had some commercial business together, if I
Oh,
remember correctly. It's decades ago, but when
Gunchild saying that, yes, in Atlantic City, he hosted a major fight for Mike in the 80s.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right, that was Donald Trump in his '80s incarnation.
Ah, that makes sense because Trump's North Node and Sun are right around there with
Right,
Mike Tyson's
right,
Mars.
right.
Yeah.
But aren't you concerned that he's fighting someone who's younger than him?
Yes, I am very,
Yeah,
very concerned. I
yeah,
don't think he should be doing this. We'll
yeah. I don't
see
think
what
he should be doing it either.
he's.
Right.
Yeah, he's got Pluto. Pluto's opposite is progressed Mars in the 12th house. So I wonder if this fight is going to put him in the hospital. I don't know.
I hope not.
I hope
I really, really hope not, because he's too old to be doing something like this. And but then who's the person who's fighting them? Are they like a major boxer
I
or
think
something?
so. Jake somebody, I don't follow boxing.
Oh boy.
So
Oh boy. I hope that that doesn't. Oh boy. I hope that that doesn't turn out take a bad turn. I
I
really do.
hope not either. Yeah. I hope not either.
Yeah.
But I think for both of them, Trump and Mike Tyson, is like financial pressures
Right.
are really why they feel like they need to make this huge Jupiterian, expansive Uranian breakthrough in their careers.
Otherwise, otherwise known as a Hail Mary pass, Celeste. Go deep, go deep. Someone catch it.
Exactly. We'll see. Oh, Just They says every prediction this week has been spot on. On Tuesday, I said pulsate. The word was pulsating, and their child had a headache. So in my podcast, I give a word of the day. And for me, pulsating was I saw this. It's Kepler College. I'm teaching for
Okay.
them on transits coming up.
Uh-huh.
But there was, I think his name is Michael Bartlett. Do you know him? Or Barwick? He wrote about astrology mavericks.
I think Bartlett
Okay.
might be the. I think. I don't know. I'm just. But it sounds familiar. But get you with spreading your Edgar Casey wings. You know, you're like. I
It's
love
crazy,
it.
Christopher.
I
Well,
love
my
it.
moon is being eclipsed in my 10th house. It's my
Okay.
chart
So
ruler.
so remind me of your do you mind sharing your moon, your sun, your
Oh,
rising?
I share it all. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
an open book. So
yeah.
I'm a Taurus sun,
Okay.
an Aries moon, and
Okay.
a Cancer
Oh,
rising.
you're no nonsense. Okay.
And I have Saturn on my sun. Hmm.
Wow. Wow. In the okay, that's
In the
fantastic.
11th house,
And
Saturn.
then this just like opened up for you last year in Pisces season, it sounds like, right?
Like something was blown, the roof was blown on this Pisces season.
Right.
Yeah. Hmm.
Right. Wow, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. I mean, isn't it wonderful when
No,
you
they could all be wrong, Christopher.
yeah, but
Don't think so.
you know, but my dear, you know, stock market predictions could all be wrong.
That's true.
Well,
That's
and you know, that was one of the things that Evangeline Adams brought in her defense when she was arrested for fortune
true.
telling in New York. One of the points that her lawyer made was, how is this different from speculation in stocks that are being sold to people?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's the, and actually the wording then, the wording of fortune telling in New York at the time that she was arrested was very specific, so that it couldn't be interpreted for stock market speculation.
Mm.
Okay, like they found like some sort of fancy phrasing or something like that. But but yeah, I mean, when this stuff clicks, it like clicks.
It's it's just like coming through. Like it's so fast. Like I need to learn how to, like I'm doing this thing where I push it away to get it to stop so that I can focus, like to talk to you.
Trust in your language. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and trust in your discipline.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've set up astrology as a discipline, and
Mm-hmm.
astrology, as you were saying before, Celeste, doesn't always lend itself to this type of, you know, the type of predictive impulses that you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily lend itself to that. It can be more diagnostic. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but when this opens up, okay, always trust in your discipline. Okay, because the astrology is there as a format to carry what's coming through and to help you guide that.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you going to develop your muscles if you don't allow yourself to be wrong, you know, on this time or another? You know, the whole thing is about training these muscles and developing, you know,
Mm-hmm.
these aptitudes and gifts. And you've got your forum, your format, which is astrology. So that's going to satisfy your Taurus self, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because it's going to be like, you know, where's the, you know, you'll be like, here's the language, here's the terminology, and then one helps another. It's like an artist; they can go to school for years and learn all these techniques, but then all of a sudden something happens, and like that creative inspiration is coming through and it fills the sail of their techniques. And so they can paint, and their painting transforms. Jackson Pollock actually is a wonderful example of that, of just how his painting all of a sudden like transformed, you know, and it looked nothing like what went before, but he knew that the techniques that he had always been using had become redefined and reconfigured in his you know, in the paintings that made him famous, you know, that what was it, drip technique or whatever.
Yeah, that's so perfect, because today Mercury and Neptune are meeting. He's this painter who did this, like the canvas was what have you, and Mars square Uranus. Didn't he stand around and fling the paint all over the place? I love that. Christopher, you are just the person I need to be talking to today to help me usher through this like really crazy period of my life right now.
Yeah.
And what I was saying, like about the pulsating, that day I wrote the word was pulsating.
Yeah.
Michael Bartlett, he did a talk for Kepler College, and he talked about the angles and something about how the angles kind of pulsate. They shoot out the energy when they're air and fire, or bring it in when they're earth and water, yang versus yin.
Right.
And if you have a planet there, and I have Uranus at my IC, and it's being eclipsed and it's pulsating, I feel like
it's getting a hell of a jet spray in the shower.
Yeah. So it's just a wild experience.
It's wonderful. And you know what's also wonderful is being where you are in your life and having this. Okay, because sometimes I've been around a couple of decades, you know, but sometimes this emerges. I would see it emerge with people who are much younger, and they didn't, you know, it was riding a horse. They didn't know how to ride the energy. They didn't know how to harness or direct it, you know. So when this opens up at a time in your life, again, when you have, and this is what made astrology or tarot, numerology, palmistry, these are disciplines that you can follow the discipline, you can follow the format, but then they're also available for when this energy opens up, and then it fills your language, it fills your discipline, and the discipline can guide and direct the energy.
Yeah, and I use the astrology, and sometimes when I see all these different things, I use a 3-card oracle or tarot reading, and that's like nails it down.
Perfect.
And so I feel like that's my nodes. Pisces, it's like expansive, it's going all over, but the Virgo with the cards nails it down. This is what it is. Yeah.
Can I ask you something? Did you have an affinity for nodes right away when you were learning them, or did it take you a while to sort of get what they were about?
As soon as I got Jan Spiller's book and read, like as soon as I heard about the nodes, my Virgo South node and my Pisces North node, it was like, what? And it unlocked doors. And as soon as I read Jan Spiller's book, it blew my mind. It was my life. A South node in Virgo in my 3rd house.
Right.
I was such a hard worker, doing the corporate thing, being hyper perfectionist about things. And then knowing that trust and release to the North node in Pisces, like I was in corporate America for many years, 20 plus years.
You think?
I would go to the...
You still carry that, my dear. You still carry that, and in the best of ways.
I would go to Rancho La Puerta, like by Disneyland, and then meditate, walk in nature, do yoga and Pilates, and just my whole body would relax, and I just feel so wonderful, and like shedding all that anxiety and of the rat race. And I thought that was just a vacation, and reading about the nodes taught me that that's where I'm supposed to be going. That's my North Star.
Right.
Yeah.
It's your life path. It's not a vacation, it's your life path. Oh, how fantastic. It took me forever to get my mind around the nodes.
What are your nodes, Christopher?
The reverse of yours. My South node is Pisces, and my North node is Virgo.
Oh, perfect for an art historian. What degree?
8.
We have a nodal
Oh
reversal,
my God.
Christopher. You're my
Exactly. Oh my God, no
brother.
way, no way, no way.
I'm 9.
Oh my God. Snapshot. Celeste, Christopher have exact nodal reversal.
Well,
Oh
when
my
we're
God,
at
that's
Norwalk, we're
hysterical.
gonna have to take a picture
Oh
and
yeah,
like label
of
it
our
the
nodes
nodal
and
reversal.
us in reverse.
This is why you like what you said to me about like you gave me a mentoring session about how I'm going to harness and work with what's going
Yeah.
on. Yeah, that's the nodal reversal. And like it hit home just so perfectly. Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's I grew into it. I grew into understanding it. My North Node's also conjunct Pluto, you know, so it was just sort of like,
Ah.
so I don't think it was going to make itself known easily. It was going to, you know, it was going to be a little bit of an onion peel or an archaeological excavation, perhaps, to like understand that. But it was always important to be able to take, because I have a grand trine in water, to take that. And it wasn't grounded because people would be like, oh, you have to ground it. And I was like, ew, that just sounds like you're putting
Mm-hmm.
blinders on or something, this
Mm-hmm.
grounding it. You know, it was more like, no, to apply instruments so you can work with it, you can direct it. And that's when it really began to really, you know, and then I began to slowly understand nodes. There are some parts of astrology that take me a few years to really understand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I call
unpacking it.
myself a slow learner in that regard. Yeah,
So,
yeah,
how
yeah.
can you explain how the South Node in Pisces and the North Node in Virgo conjunct Pluto is showing up in your life?
Well, it's funny.
Oh, and what houses? What the
12
houses?
and 6.
Ah, so the South Node in the 12. Ah, okay.
Okay, I hardly ever share this, and I'm only going to share it because it's you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But this was my first response when you just asked me that question. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When I was about 13, I remember having a dream. And in this dream, you know, and it sounded silly afterwards because I was raised Catholic, but it was very explicit, Celeste. It was very, more than explicit, it was alive. I could smell the air. I could feel the perspiration. I could feel the fear in my chest, you know, and I was being led in a line of people in which we had, it was me and a number of people, like not a huge line, not a rock concert line, but you know, a few people, and we had tied over our shoulders these boards, okay, and they were tied around our wrists,
Mm-hmm.
so we were walking almost like winged creatures, you know, and we were walking in a line up a hill, and it was like gravelly, and there were rocks, and it was like a, not a desert, but it was a hot day.
Mm-hmm.
And we were, and I remember like carrying this beam that was on my, and it being very difficult to breathe, and we were taking to these posts that had been driven down into the ground. Maybe there was like 6 of us, maybe, you know, 8 or 10 or something like that. And what, and I remember kneeling down in front of this post, and then I was being lifted, and it was being lifted up over towards the top of this post to be left hanging. And I like
Wow.
realized it was like,
Crucifixion.
exactly, you know, and I just remember the weight of my body and the ache in my sides and the heat of that day. And then at one point, and this is what woke me up, at one point a rope had landed over my neck, and it was being used to pull my head over and snap it. I mean, that wasn't,
Oh my.
I realized that that's what was happening, but, and that's when I woke. And I
Mm-hmm.
had like, my bed was wet. I mean, I was like 13, but I had like peed in my bed.
Oh
I
wow.
was sweating. It was just such a powerful
Mm-hmm.
thing, you know, and that is my answer to your North Node in Pisces in the 12th house. Like that was like, that was like such a, I mean, I've never forgotten it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's,
It was.
but just how visceral it was,
Mm-hmm.
how
Mm-hmm.
completely visceral, it
Mm-hmm.
was. So I don't know what
The
explains that
12th
kind of
house
thing,
has
but
everything, all the energies, and you had like a dream about with Pluto opposite. Like, yeah,
I mean, I
just wow.
wish I'd known the day that I had had the dream.
Well, what I would do is I would go back and look at your chart with the eclipses that year.
Okay.
I bet you'll see the story in one of the eclipses.
Yeah, because I was around 13 or 12 when
Mm-hmm.
I had it, but it was just a
Mm.
really, really,
Maybe
and
Saturn opposition or something was
yeah,
coming
because
in.
sometimes they talk about like the South Node and past lives or something like that, and I'm not one to really sort of go there, but that dream
Made you.
and the memory of that dream has always left me like, hmm.
Yeah, it could have been definitely been some kind of past life thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it
Wow.
wasn't like I mean, it was like a common
Mm-hmm.
thing. It was it wasn't it was like a common crucifixion, if one can say such a thing. It
Yeah.
was just this this common thing, but it
Mm-hmm.
was like, so that was kind of my experience, or that's how I would answer your
Yeah.
question about the
Uh,
South Node and Pisces in the 12th.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like that's that's hard having all of that kind of stuff, especially when it comes up in your dream life, and it feels like, oh my gosh, like the terror. Pluto can be the terror, scaring yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
and it also came up in my earlier work in tarot, and it was
Uh-huh.
something that I had to edit.
Mm-hmm.
At first I kind of like harnessed it. Well, this is why I was talking to you. I mean, it's something that I kind of had to edit because when I was younger, there were times in which I would give readings, but I wasn't really in charge of that information. Some of
Mm.
the things that came up were upsetting to people who got
Mm-hmm.
back to me later about it.
Yes.
And then on one hand, you could be like, well, it was true, or they needed to hear the information. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, reading in that capacity, I, I how could I take responsibility if I was just being this
Mm.
vessel?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I was always very insistent. That's why astrology spoke to me, because it
Mm-hmm.
kind of took those natural Pisces moon energies and gave it a forum.
Ah,
It
that
gave it
gave
a
you
forum.
the I'm going to put my do not disturb. Okay. That gave you
Emma.
the ability to, yeah, to channel it, because yeah, that Pluto stuff, yeah, can be very unsettling to people. Yeah. Yeah.
And yourself.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have Pluto in my third house, so I know all about Pluto.
Oh,
My Mercury's trine by Pluto.
so you have
Like I could just scare
you
myself.
have
Like,
Pluto in your third
mhm.
house. So can I ask you what was early education like for you?
I love school. Absolutely love school. But there was this thing, because I could read when I was like 4, like I have
Yeah,
really good language
yeah.
skills. And my mother was a teacher, and
Uh-huh.
they put me in kindergarten in group 1. There were group 1 and group 2. They put
Uh-huh.
me in group 1, and my mother went in there and is like, what is she doing in group 1? She can read and she's smart. And so she insisted they test me,
Hmm.
and then I tested into group 3 all by myself. So that's.
Well, I was going to ask you what your social life and early education was like with Pluto in the third house.
And we lived in, for part, in an all white town,
Okay.
and the people there, Denville, New Jersey, the people there thought my family moved there to, like, it was like some conspiracy of integration.
Oh
The
my
neighbors
God, like
told us
like busing because they moved there or something like that. Like that.
something like that. I don't
Right,
remember. I was so young. I don't
right,
remember all the details. Like I
right.
never had any problems there. And this is something like the neighbor, the Greenies, confessed later. Like everybody was, probably talking. Look,
Right.
what are these black people doing here?
Right.
uh, yeah. So that was just, we lived there for several years. I guess that's where my parents could afford a house
Yeah.
before we moved back to where I was from. Yeah. So there was that. And yeah, and
Okay.
I went to private school for a while. Mm.
And was there any sort of like distancing with the other kids or anything like that? You know, I mean, if you're smarter, I would imagine.
Yeah, and mm, I mean, I had an incident where I learned the importance of honesty
Mm-hmm.
because there was something about like I put a paper or something, some stupid thing. I was like in third grade on a shelf, and the students, and then I lied about it. And then the way everybody looked at me, like they changed their, like you could never go back after you've lost someone's trust or something. So it was just this learning plutonic experience about how important it was to be honest and ethical and all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
being held up to that, right,
Mm-hmm.
which is very Plutonic. Yeah, I find the third house endlessly fascinating.
I never thought about it from from that aspect. That's why it's so cool talking about, some astrologers won't talk anything about their own astrology,
Right.
but that's like, I feel like that's how you learn from people. And like the nodal reversal is a mirror. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I used to be one of those like I never talk about my life, and then I got to a point where it's like, why wouldn't you talk about your life? I mean, this is
Mm-hmm.
how you're it's a life art,
Mm-hmm.
this is how you're learning it, this is how you're absorbing it, and why wouldn't you ask other people how it goes in their lives? I mean, it's one of the beauties of astrology is that because it is about our life experience, and then also finding that mirrored in the heavens above.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Carmi's asking about the book, Astrology for the Soul by Jan Spiller. It's one of the best astrology books out there. You can go to the link in my bio to my Amazon storefront if you want.
Ooh.
Christopher's books are there too. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, go, run, do not
Let me see. There's
hesitate.
some more comments. Oh, good. Namaste. Natasha's liking this. Yeah. Yeah. We're seeing. Yeah. People got the. Yeah. Pisces as a martyr. Someone said yes. Yeah. There was some kind of martyr story. Yeah. And the hangman card. Someone said.
Well, I mean, we of course you think of crucifixion and Christ and the church and things like that, but crucifixion was a form of capital punishment. Is a way that they killed criminals,
Mars
Yeah.
square Uranus.
Yeah. And it was the way that they got dispatched criminals. So
People are so awful. People have the ability to be so wonderful and so, and so
awful.
awful. Yeah.
Yeah, at the same time. Which
So
of
what are
course
your So Julia's having Pluto coming to conjunct her North Node in Aquarius soon.
Oh wow.
Do you have any guidance as a native with this in your chart about what to maybe look out for?
I it's always given me a sense of fate, but not like fate like this overbearing, fate, bring up, mysterious fate, gloomy music or something like that. But it's always given me this sense of like, there's always been a part of me inside of me that knows where it's going. Okay. And I think that that's something that a Pluto on the North Node conjunction is, but you don't see it, and this is something that I felt. I mean, Pluto is named after the Lord of the Underworld, right? I saw this painting, sometimes I put it up, that I absolutely love of Pluto, where he is blind. Okay, but he's not wearing something over his eyes. He's almost like he's standing, and it's Pluto because the three-headed dog Cerberus is right next to him. And he's standing with a staff, but he's standing so that his nose is up, almost like he's sniffing, and he's blind in that there are no eyes there. There's just it's almost like the skin is over the eyes. And the same thing is with Cerberus on the eyes of the three-headed dog, is that same thing. And in fact, he almost resembles a mole in a way. And what I love about this painting is that it reminded me so much that subterranean creatures don't need eyes. You know, there are fish that live in cave pools and they have no eyes, or moles have no eyes or very, very small ones. And so this idea of digging through the earth or not having this kind of sight, but having an inner gut knowing, I think is very Plutonian. You know, you don't see it with your regular eyes. You know, I think you sense it, you know, because it's in the underworld, and the underworld is without light. So I think that a very, like a Pluto North Node transit, I think is going to speak to that core being in you. Are you familiar with Dane Rudhyar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you know how he talked about the seed self?
Oh no, I don't know that. Yeah.
He had this concept, seed self, and this isn't really exactly what he was talking about, but it's what I took away from it. We have two suns. We've got the sun in the sky, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then we've got what could almost become the dark sun, which is Pluto. That's the molten core of the Earth itself. Okay, which we don't see, but is evidently as gravitationally powerful or whatever as the sun. It's what holds everything in place on the planet. And I think in that same way, we are born from seeds, because that's semen, right? You know, like, the best semen wins, and there you are. You know, you're born, and there's going to be nobody else like you. You know, so we're born of seeds, and like seeds born in the ground that reach for the sun's rays, that pull themselves out of the ground to reach for the sun's rays. I think there is this core part of us, a seed self, that reaches forward into our life. And I think that Plutonian, strong Pluto in a chart, or even transits of Pluto in the chart, connect us to that. You know, core might be more, you know, modern word of it, but it's a sense of, like, when you experience it, you feel like this is me, but not in a cognitive ego way. It's in a gut.
It's going to unearth all these things within her, maybe shadow energies that could be uncomfortable, but come up to the surface. And it may start with coming in through other people. Like, you're going to, the North Node's an amplifier. You're going to meet Plutonic people who are like a mirror for you. And it's maybe uncomfortable, because one of them may be, that some of them may be really awful.
Right.
And you have to stand up for yourself. But yeah, I think that's what came to me about.
It's I don't know if it's
or highly sexual, or like maybe like
because if you read Pluto mythology, he's actually kind of funny.
Oh.
I mean, outside of the Persephone incident, okay.
Outside of that being dragged down to hell,
right? Aside from that Persephone episode, you know. But whenever Pluto shows up, like in Orpheus, for instance, or when he shows up in the Aeneid, or when he shows up in the Odyssey, or in different tales involving Jason or Hercules, there's always this kind of amused, sardonic flavor that he has, you know, that people think they're pulling a fast one on him or whatever, and he just lets them think whatever they want to think. And it's because he already knows how it's all going to play out already. He knows everyone's going to end up in Pluto or Hades at the end of their story. So that kind of gives Pluto a kind of sardonic, you know, flavor to me. But I'm not always sure that it's shadow in a dark way. I think it can also be a sense of drawing upon something of you, of yourself, when the time is right. It's like a seed. Like, when the time is right, you can plant a seed, but it's not going to show up next spring. It may show up in 3 or 5 years.
Exactly.
And I think that Pluto can be like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah. So, like, but in different ways, people are going to show up Plutonian to you. So notice sardonic people. Yeah. Notice sardonic people. Notice, like.
But I do think that they carry a sort of faded quality. You know, that they may, those people or those situations may have a big impact on your life. You know, in terms of directing it, but not in a Uranian way. Uranus is always a spin on the wheel of fortune. You know. or Neptunian way, which is can be, I've gotten lost in the fogs and the mists. I'm between worlds. Pluto's at the end of the day, Pluto's earthy because it's the Earth.
It's a gem. So notice what gems I would start journaling if I were a person with Pluto on the North Node. You're going to be getting gems coming in. Aquarius, an air sign, and you write them down. Write down who you met, and
And of course, you're using the word gems in reference to Pluto being the god of riches from under
yes,
the
yeah,
underworld.
gems that come up through the ground. Yeah,
right. Of course.
Yeah, all wealth. Play the lotto. I tell people all the time, get a lotto ticket.
Why not?
Jupiter, Uranus coming in, someone's gonna win jackpot city. Like people are like this is money falling from the sky. Yeah. So I don't know if it's impacting your chart, Pluto North Node, Julia, but yeah.
But Celeste says play lotto.
Play lotto. Why not?
Why not? What do you have to lose?
Yes, and we did want to talk about Uranus because tomorrow Mars in Aquarius is squaring Uranus. So yeah, why don't you tell us more about both those principles, or especially Uranus? I think people mostly understand Mars.
It's a fascinating square, and I think it's already kind of shown up.
Oh yeah, Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson
going back into the ring.
No,
why?
I think that's something to keep in mind is like a conjunction doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen on that day. I found it actually a lot of times shows up in the days running up to the day.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Mars transits come in early.
Yeah. But I think that we certainly, I don't know if you were experiencing it about 2 days ago, but there was a disruption of Facebook and Instagram, that went down and came back up. But I think there was one that was previous maybe just a few weeks ago. So it's something that's happening.
When Mars squared Jupiter, the prescription writing or some kind of healthcare thing went down.
Well, and that's right. And so I think cyber attacks we can sort of ascribe or assign to Mars Uranus squares. Because you think of, it's Mars and it's an Aquarius. And of course, Aquarius is associated to modern technology and computers and social platforms and all those sorts of things. It's the idea of everyone being connected in a technological way. Okay. So there would be an attack, but then one might think, well, how does the Uranus and Taurus play in? I mean, outside of like a square, how does that play in? And of course it plays in because Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius. Whenever I work with Aquarius by transit or a client, I'll always look at the Saturn and the Uranus. To me, these are the two ruling planets of the sign. And so I'll look at both of them. So if we've got a Mars, which is currently going through the zodiac sign of Aquarius, it's going to genuflect or follow Uranus. Okay. So the Mars in Aquarius, when it squares, goes right to Uranus, which is in Taurus. What's Taurus? It's the body. It's property. It's your stuff, and certainly in that that cyber attack that took place with the billing agency, right, that was handling all the insurance companies and things like that. I mean, how Taurian can you get? It's health insurance and it's people getting paid. Okay. And so there was this cyber attack that was against it, and I think they're still working it out.
They still are, yeah.
Yeah, they're still working it out. So I think that I would definitely put that into that category. And that basically the Uranus is attracting the Mars. If you think of like a lightning rod or something like that, because Uranus rules the Mars, so it's attracting the Mars. I mean, not only are they squaring, but Mars in Aquarius is going to the Uranus. It has to, because Uranus commands it. Okay, so that's something in which, I would say, and isn't there that AI thing that started too? That was really creepy.
Did
you hear about that?
Which one?
I think it's been going on for a little while, but evidently people have been woken up in the middle of the night with a loved one crying into the phone.
Oh yes, I posted about that. They're able to take their voices
Right.
and make it sound like somebody needs money. Mm-hmm.
Or is being held at
Oh, yeah.
gunpoint
Yeah.
was one of the
Oh,
incidents,
oh
you
my
know.
God.
And so people, go and hurriedly, pay this ransom. It's kind of like kidnapped likenesses or kidnapped information, in this kind of
Mm-hmm.
cyber attack, this cyber assault. So we're not really used to thinking of Mars like that, but Mars in Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, which rules the zodiac sign of Aquarius, I think would fit that
Mm.
really quite well. I mean, we may be experiencing that not all wars, which Mars rules over, or abductions or assaults, take place physically. They can also take place
With technology.
cybernetically or yeah, in that technological realm. So
Mm.
you wrote about this. When did you write about it?
I wrote about this week, that this was one thing we were seeing with Mercury Neptune, because I
Mm-hmm.
like to talk when they're transits close together. I like to
Mm-hmm.
talk about them together.
Mm-hmm.
So Mercury Neptune, and then Mars square. So Mercury Neptune, deception of the voice,
Right.
in Pisces. Yeah, to like the to like for the emotional
Yeah, the
thing, it connects
emotional
with you.
pull.
Yeah,
Right.
and then the Mars square Uranus, it's for a crime. It's a crime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're
Mm-hmm.
shocked by it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought about that. Taurus is the sign of Mars's detriment. So he's like, yeah, he's even like can be even more dangerous with
Right.
that.
Dangerous in that position because,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mars in a square like that with Uranus, if Mars squaring a planet is bad enough, but if the planet it's squaring rules the sign it's in,
Mm-hmm.
that's like bees following you down a path. It's like,
Yeah.
that assault sort of almost swarms, or you're being chased by a heat-seeking missile
Yeah.
if you're on the other end of that square. But I mean, because you can have a Uranus Mars square and it can be like, oh wow, this was shocking or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say you're a Taurus, there may be a sense that there's this heat-seeking missile that's following you, that sort of a thing. But of course, it has to be within the degrees that are being affected by
Mm-hmm.
by
Yeah,
the.
and it's happening at almost 20 degrees. So 20 degrees of Aquarius,
Mhm.
which is King Kunk's my ascendant, like, and then 20 degrees of Taurus, which is on my
So it's
birthday.
at 20 degrees. So do you think that this is going to be connected to the Jupiter Uranus conjunction then?
I think so. I think so. The thing I've been looking at about the astrology that really fascinated me, and I wanted to
Yeah.
know how it was going to show
Yeah.
up, is the fact that first Mercury, then Mars, then Venus met Pluto in Aquarius for the first time in
Right.
February.
Right.
And then Mars and Venus finally caught up to Mars. They're all charged up with this Plutonic energy,
Right.
met together, and they met on the south node of the United States at 6 degrees of Aquarius. And then, they're going on and squaring Jupiter and squaring Uranus. And so I was really interested to see how that would show up.
Yeah.
And I think it's shown up quite literally. One of the ways it's shown up is the fires in Texas, where they met on that. That's right about when they started, I think. And it's today or yesterday came out that an energy company is to blame for the starting the fire. But now the fire spread and it's massive. And I think part of what Mars square Uranus could be coming up this weekend is like the winds kick up so much. Mars and
So
or maybe somewhere else.
you don't think
Mars and
Mars is
Aquarius,
done?
that that it spirals. I called it a fire NATO. This is one of my predictions.
Yeah.
Like it expands, and it's what I'd written down about that was New Orleans. This is how I'm learning like stuff. New Orleans, and what I think that meant is there's going to be a Hurricane Katrina type event because the United States being eclipsed and having our Chiron return in the fourth house of land, that is
Right.
going to like
In
massive
the States.
amounts of land.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
of course, who can who cannot be moved by and saddened by the images of all of those cattle bodies
Yeah,
that they're picking up, that have been roasted,
Taurus.
and that they're right, and that they're putting into trucks and things like that, where you just realize that they were literally barbecued. They were burned on the spot.
Hmm.
You know, it's absolutely horrible. You know.
Yeah, and Chiron and Aries, fire. And tomorrow, see, this is the other thing. Like, so tomorrow, um, also the sun sextiles Uranus. So it's just this whole week has been so Uranian. And
Right.
then Mercury goes into Aries. And I see that as people being in survival mode when there's thinking processes. When Mercury goes into Aries, they're in survival mode. There'll be some people who are impacted by
Yeah.
whatever events are happening of the Uranian nature
Yeah.
this weekend. Yeah.
Well, I'm an optimist, so
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the sun Uranus sextile actually redirects that Uranian
Oh,
energy.
good.
You know,
Okay.
because I see transits like this as almost like a card game, you know,
Mm.
or a chess move. You
Yeah.
know, the playing of the card or the move of the chess piece could be like, oh no, you know, but then it's countered, you know, perhaps by something
Ah.
else. And since Uranus is kind of the pivot planet here, you know, it it attracted the ire of
Uh-huh.
Mars, right? But then the sun perhaps intervenes and then redirects it. It can't counter it, but it redirects it in a way, so
Mm.
that, you know, it's like Sleeping Beauty, if you remember the story of Sleeping Beauty.
Yes, I pulled the card Sleeping Beauty recently.
There you have, because you've got the 13th fairy who shows up and she curses Aurora or Beauty with death, but and it's at the christening. All the fairies have given Aurora their gifts: beauty, grace, love of music, whatever. The 13th fairy curses her with death, but there's one fairy who hadn't given their gift yet, and she can't stop death, but she can redirect it into 100-year slumber, which is what she does.
I
And so,
love that.
and
Yeah, well, I hope that's what happened. I hope that something is redirected. But when I seeing all those tumbleweeds, like I got the image of
yeah,
like that's the wind. It's quick. Yeah, I
well,
hope
wind
it gets
and air, you're completely on top of this.
hmm.
Yeah, you know.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
Edgar Casey, like,
Well, yeah, I had all these things coming in. But I think what I'm hoping, my big prediction, which I'm hoping I think is right, or like,
mhm.
or something near it, like the town, I might even be a town called Hoover, Texas. I wonder, and I posted this. Is there some kind of water event coming there that can be prevented? So I
Did you do a
posted it.
Google search on Hoover,
Yes,
Texas?
yes, I found Hoover.
Oh, you did
Hmm.
find it.
Yeah,
Okay.
because one of the things I wrote down was the dam breaks in the Hoover Dam, but I think it might be Hoover, Texas. I don't know. I'm still like
That,
filtering and trying to.
that's the thing. I mean, they're not really, you know, it's not like taking dictation. You're not a court stenographer, right?
No,
Like, you know,
no. So I'm hoping some of my like what a prediction will like prevent a tragedy rather
yeah.
than just telling people what's bad happening.
Yeah.
But I'm
It would
like
be
having
nice
to
if
get.
prediction. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to learn how to hone
Well, you have a
this gift.
lifetime, my dear. You
Hmm.
have a lifetime
Hmm.
to hone it. And the best way to hone it is by doing readings and by practicing the craft. That's the best way to
Hmm.
hone it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I'm doing. I'm out here in these streets, Christopher.
I'm practicing my craft.
Doing it, doing it, doing it. Yes, yes. And loving it, loving it,
Yeah.
loving it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Astrology is such a wonderful tool to help understand what's going on in the world around us and the timing of events. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And the
no. Oh,
meaning.
blackout, someone said. Yeah, lights out was one of my predictions. Lights out. I don't know what that what that means. I think it's just temporary,
Well, or
but it
that
could be
might be
this.
the, I mean, eclipses were known as lights out in heaven.
Mm.
And they are upcoming.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Auto accidents. Yeah, there could be like big traffic like that. I said that, but Mercury, Neptune, Sun, Mars square Uranus, that could be like, oh, huge traffic accident caused by fog. You know, every once in a while we have these 50-car pileups.
I know, which is awful.
It is.
Which is absolutely
It is.
awful.
Oh yeah, field trip. Karen mentioned AT&T going down. That's why, you know, originally I was thinking we're leading up to some big cyber event, but I think what's happening is just the cyber attackers are getting smarter and smarter with AI. It's going to be more and more things going down, more disruption in general.
I think it's ongoing, and we probably don't hear as much. You know, but I my suspicion is it's pretty much ongoing.
Yeah, but when when one of the inner planets talks to Uranus, it comes to our conscious attention, something that's happening.
Pick up the phone. Oh my God. So what do you think Mercury, Neptune pick up the phone is? Does it pick it up the phone and there's just like heavy breathing on the other side of it? I don't know. Like if you were to make Mercury going next to a modern planet, what do you think, you know, what's the voice on the pick up the phone? What's the voice on the other side?
With Mercury, Neptune, and Pisces?
Yeah.
Someone singing to you in the most beautiful language, like the most beautiful song you ever heard. Or like, I posted something in my stories about Jamie Foxx years ago. He did a song, and he did it in all these different, like sung it from all these different people. Oh, I wish I remembered what it was.
Oh my God, how fantastic.
It was so incredible. It was like an act he did back in, but it's like, and his voice is incredible. So that's Mercury, Neptune, like it's almost deception, but it could be deception. It's like you pick up the phone and you're with the Mars Uranus. It's like you said, with your loved one, you think it's your loved one's voice, but it's not.
But wouldn't it be nicer if it was Jamie Foxx doing all those marvelous imitations?
Yes. Let me see if I can find.
Oh my God! And then because Mercury's in fall and detriment, the person's all of a sudden like, "Oh my God, it's the wrong number." Click.
Yeah. Today, what I saw. Yeah, well, I saw, like, I love how you can see the transits when you're walking around. And I was out walking my dog, and there was a woman taking her daughter. We have a place nearby for people who have developmental disabilities.
Okay.
And she was it's like, there's Mercury, Neptune. Yeah, because, like, in Pisces in fall, because, you know, her thinking, she was, like, even though she was in her 40s, she was like a child. And then I saw a guy like walking with a shopping cart, and I was like, oh, Mercury, Neptune, and Pisces, a homeless person. And the shopping cart, like transporting things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my God. It's amazing how
this is what I do all day with astrology as I see things. But I'm not allowed to talk about it to most people. This is why I have to do these cosmic conversations, because my boo, I only get 10 minutes a week to talk about astrology.
That's all.
I'm trying to make it a month, so I can't. I just have to think it in my head. I can't say.
Oh my
it
God,
out
are you on astrology convo probation or something? Oh my God, that is the most hysterical thing.
Because I would keep telling him about it, like, oh, this is that, and he'd be like, okay, enough. I've had it. Yes, political AI calls. Yes, that's Mercury, Neptune with this Mars square Uranus. Yeah,
exactly.
This is President Joe Biden. I'm going to eat your children, or whatever they're going to be saying.
I don't know. That might not be far away. We had the whole Pizzagate, my dear. So I don't know. Eating children.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All my predictions are on Threads, and I put a bunch of them on. So that's what I think I'm changing. Like, it's part of what I'm changing. I'm going to do more on Threads.
Yeah.
And yes, I'll post the replay, and I'll share it with you, Christopher, too, if you want to put it on.
Absolutely.
On your channel.
Please.
Yes.
Share it.
Yeah. Oh, let me see. Jamie Foxx, the song.
She's looking up the Jamie Foxx thing.
I'm trying to find it.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Things in an act with different voices. Oh, the Brady Bunch. He does the Brady Bunch theme song in all of these different voices.
Oh my God, he does each of the Brady kids?
Well, he does it like, yeah. Yeah, he does the
He does like
song for the theme
Jeanne,
song.
like cross about Marsha, and he does like,
No,
I
he
don't know, like.
sings the actual song, but he does it like as Ray Charles,
Oh my
as all these
God, no
different.
way, stop it.
You have to Google it. You have to
Oh
Google
my
it. It's
God, that is the most
brilliant. He has such
hysterical
a
thing.
good voice. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I heard like Ariana Grande imitate someone. It was like, oh my God, it was
Uh-huh.
like but it makes sense
Like,
because when singers are like pitch perfect that way, of course they can do that, and you just marvel at the talent and the gift and the ability.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, like they let not Lahai Night. Yes, Leslie, Beta Star Power, an amazing astrologer and my friend. She's an astrology hub. You know Leslie Tagorda. She's going to be an astrology hub.
I think
Um,
I'm on with her
host.
today, aren't I?
Ah.
I think I'm on with her like in 15
Oh,
minutes.
okay, we better wrap this up. Yeah, she told me. She told me that she was talking to you today. Mm-hmm.
Well, we're on in a half an hour, but in 15 minutes we have to do a dress rehearsal or something like that. Well, is that
Mm-hmm.
Leslie? Tell her
Hi,
hi.
Leslie. Yeah, she's here. She's watching. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I like to.
you're Leslie, right?
Beta Star Powered is Leslie.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, she's here watching our live.
Okay. Oh my God. So I'm meeting her actually for the first time in 30 minutes,
Oh,
right?
you'll love her. She
Oh.
is phenomenal.
Oh,
Yeah.
how wonderful. How
Are we going
wonderful.
to do an Astrology Hub podcast together?
We better. We
Okay.
better. I
I
think
want to.
we should agitate. Advocate. We should be, you know.
Okay, you put it. Oh,
I'll put
Tara Love says
it up
it's wild out here in these
or everyone who's
psychic
watching
streets.
this. Everyone who's watching this, write into Astrology Hub and say, "We want Celeste and Christopher."
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. I just want to thank you so much for your guidance. Like, it was really
Thank you
helpful for me
for,
what you said.
thank you so much for having me over.
Yes. Do you want to announce anything you're doing that people should know about? You said your YouTube channel. Tell them again. It's
Yeah, it's my YouTube channel, which would be fantastic. Come and subscribe. And actually tomorrow we're doing our first YouTube live.
Ooh.
And I'm doing it with my co-host from my IG Live, Emily. And we're doing mystery charts. And what we do is that we wait until the last possible moment and we send each other the charts, which are scrubbed. They have no name, they have no birth date, or any of the information. And then we switch them and we have to read the chart. And I mean, maybe we'll get who the person is, but it's a game, really. The whole thing is to read the chart and see if that ends up having anything to do with the identity of the person who is then revealed. I don't know why I do this. It's completely masochistic and completely frightening and nerve-wracking, but at the same time, it's also great, hilarious fun. And I based it on What's My Line? I don't know if you were on the planet.
Yeah, I kind of remember that game show.
Where the celebrities, would be like, wearing masks and smoking cigarettes, and they'd have to like guess the, whoever came and so that's what it is. So Mystery Charts is a feature that we do regularly on IG Live, but I figured, hey, it's time for live YouTube, and so tomorrow we'll be doing that. So come check out Christopher Renstrom Astrology, and it'll be great fun. And every week is something new and different, and whatever goes up. So sometimes it's predictions, sometimes it's we recently did What Planet Is She On? And so we looked at the ruling planet and the story of E. Jean Carroll. And if you don't, and I think she wrote. I wasn't sure, but someone named E. Jean Carroll wrote, "Thank you, Mr. Renstrom."
Oh, so she watched it. Oh, how cool.
At first I thought, okay, maybe it's AI posing, whatever type of thing. But I saw a Twitter feed that she had sent out, and it was the same headshot. And I was like,
she probably watched it.
Might have watched it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway.
Very cool. I love that you're doing that. Oh, I would want Field Trip Karen hopes I'm wrong about my AOC prediction. Her midheaven's being eclipsed, and I think she might have a scandal where she falls from a height. Now, maybe it's just that she just loses popularity, but I thought it was financial in nature.
Well, you're giving a very, I mean, that is a traditional reading of an eclipse on the midheaven.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's there.
Yeah.
And she's a public person.
Mm-hmm.
And so are you assigning it to the solar eclipse or
The
the lunar
lunar.
eclipse?
Her midheaven is like six Libra. So it's a south node kind of energy of, yeah, of things being unearthed that you maybe would rather they did not be unearthed, and that it's going to be some kind of scandal.
Well, you've got the backing for making you've got the backing for making a claim like that, you know, because that's what eclipses do. Lynn Bell did a wonderful reading of Trump's finances a year ago. And she said that the eclipses are taking place in his finance houses. And so eclipses are basically lights out in heaven. So it's lights out in finances. And she said, so we basically should be looking at like October and April for financial struggles and things like that with him. And actually that's when it had pretty much started.
His Neptune's being eclipsed. Neptune in the second house at 5 Libra. Lights out. Oh, I haven't written this down yet, but Meghan Markle, I think Meghan and Harry, something's coming, and it's like an ouch because her Saturn's she's got that Moon, Saturn, and Jupiter all at right around 5 Libra. Yeah. So I hope it's nothing horrible. Now,
what kind of an orb do you work with eclipses?
Eclipses, I go wide. I go at least 5 degrees on either side.
Because I play around with this because CEO Carter, a British astrologer like in the 30s, would give them only 2 to 3. And at first I was like, 2 to 3, that's a tight corset.
That is a tight corset.
That's a tight corset. Spanx, that Spanx is really tight. But isn't that what it's called? The
Spanx,
model, right. But I found like it actually works. So
the tighter the better. Yeah.
Throwing that into the soup.
Yes, for like a specific prediction, I would only use like 1 or 2. On either side. Yeah.
As you can tell, I don't want to leave.
I know. I don't want you to leave, but you better go, Leslie. I will never hear the end of it.
I know. You're right.
I can't believe you kept Christopher on so long that
yeah, see, Leslie.
I'll go subscribe to your YouTube.
Thank you, and I love your show, and I love you. I love you most of all, and I also love your IGs, and I love your everything, your work, everything, my dear.
It's a mutual admiration society. I love you so much too, and I can't wait to see you at Norwalk. We're both speaking.
Yes, right, Norwalk. Okay, we're there too. We'll have fun. Okay.
Take care.
Honey. Bye.
Bye.